Hey guys, this is your boy Markcoos, and welcome back to Markcoos' Reign at Arsenal, episode number 22, and let's get straight into this. And this episode is a bit short, only because one of the games I actually kept out a lot of the highlights because of just how many highlights there were. I think it's the third game of this episode of the 4 games available. In the first match against QPR, they're playing quite a strong team, like Terap and at right Phillips and Basingwa. Well, I played quite a strong team. Played quite a strong team. I mean, Wilshere can't play due to his red card against Tottenham in the last episode, so he's suspended for the majority of this episode. This match, the next match, the Champions League match, I think he's back, and then the last match against Cardiff, he's also back. But QPR kicked off, of course, in the 7th minute of the match. Giroud on the ball here. He hits it through to Higuain. Higuain's never going to get to it, but she's a little bit off the ball control. Get to eventually, and he pops it into the back of the net for maybe his 12th, 13th goal of the season, because Higuain he scores when he wants. He actually scores when he wants. The Arsenal fans are just singing, he scores when he wants. Higuain, he scores when he wants, because he really does. He's just unbelievably good, but he doesn't score in a Champions League, which is really weird. But in the 11th minute of the match, after a good cross, and Jamie Mackie gets a header away, and Shelney just can't control it properly. Mackie tackles him, and it counts as a Mackie goal for 1-1. For the equaliser. It's an unfortunate goal, but there's nothing I really do about it. Koscielny's touch was so heavy that Mackie, of course, just had to come in and basically just double tap X and he would have scored. But from a corner kick, Vermaelen heads it back to it eventually comes back. I think it's to Markcoos from about 30 yards out on the angle, and look at that for a strike. Hits off the bar, as you could hear the big bar noise, and past Julio Cesar in the blink of an eye, and Markcoos has scored again. He's pretty beast. I mean, look at that. I'm absolutely cheesing my nut off on the touchline, but I mean, it was an absolutely unbelievable strike for a 2-1 lead. So coming into halftime, it was a 2-1 lead. That was a goal which was dividing the teams, and as you can see, we've only had 6 shots through on target. They've had 5 shots, 1 on target, so they're maybe getting a bit closer. But I ended up bringing in Cleverley and Jenkinson because, of course, I needed to rest the players, the likes of Vermaelen and Santi Cazorla and Ramsey and the like. So here I'm doing a little bit of skills of Santi Cazorla. He always tell me I don't do enough skills, so I do a little bit of skills. I eventually actually score a goal from this. Santi Cazorla ends up getting muscled off the ball. They clear it. It gets headed back by I think it's Ramsey to Koscielny, but eventually gets to Royce, takes a huge deflection off the shot, and Royce pops into the back of the net. It's somehow considered his goal, concerned maybe it was on target. That was the only thing I could possibly think of. But he scores his second goal for today, and then this is a foul on Sergio Ramos, and roughly about 5 minutes later, Santi Cazorla with the free kick, and look at what happens. Again, I hit the bar. I hit the bar so many times on free kicks, it's unbelievable. But in the 72nd minute here, Granero on the ball does a little bit of trickery, gets the ball to Jimmy Mackie, who ends up heading it into the back of the net at the near post. He goes up to collect the ball, and I just skipped it because, well, nothing on Jimmy Mackie, I think he's a pretty good player. But again, 76 minutes, roughly a couple minutes later, I get the ball eventually to Santi Cazorla. He takes a touch inside, and look at that for a strike from Santi Cazorla into the top corner. Like, what, 3 of the goals I've scored out of the 4 have been from outside the box? That's pretty impressive, actually, that my long shots are so, accurate, unbelievable. I mean, look at that for a shot. It's a great shot. Sergio Ramos said Julio Cesar nowhere near it. But as you see Higuain being taken off for Mangala, I'm looking for a bit more solidarity at the back, and he gets a big hug off me on the touchline, and that was really about it. Nothing really happened for the rest of the match, for roughly 16 minutes remaining. So 4-2 final score. Had 19 shots, 12 on target, 56% possession, 88 pass completion, and Higuain man of the match. So not that bad. But the other results, Man United beat Liverpool, Cardiff City actually got beat by Everton, West Ham beat West Brom, that's pretty big. Southampton actually got beat by Wigan, Bolton got beat by Wolves, Newcastle got beat by Norwich, Man City beat Aston Villa, Chelsea beat Sunderland, and Tottenham beat Stoke City. And I'm sure Stoke are right at the bottom of the league, so screw you Stoke, screw you Tony Pulis. Not right now, but I'm sure by the end of the episode they are right at the bottom. We're still top of the table by 3 points, lost only 1 game, I think it was against Everton, where Marouane Fellaini absolutely destroyed me somehow. But yeah, so into the next match against Southampton. This match I had to play quite a weak team, considering that the international matches were literally, I think, about a day before this. They always have a day after. So I think I had to play a really weak team. They had Boric and Cork and Schneiderlin and Ricky Lambert starting up front, and Stephen Davis in midfield, Lallana as well. Pretty strong team. I had to play quite a weak team. Szczęsny, Koscielny, De Hertfeld, Sergio Ramos, Shaw, Mangala, Icefeld, Royce, Jordi Alba, Torres, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain actually played up front as a second striker, and it's not his position, but he did alright, to be pretty fair. But this is not the match where I skip all the highlights, even though there are not that many highlights for this match. The game was pretty simple and pretty basic. But in the 23rd minute, Mangala gets the ball eventually through to Fernando Torres, and Fernando Torres not really done that good for me, but when he starts matches, he occasionally scores, and that's really the only thing I really bought him for. He was only like 12 million, not that bad for a striker really. So Fernando Torres scored. In the 38th minute, here I'm on the ball with Torres again. A little bit nice little passing move. Chamberlain eventually gets it onto his left foot, gets a shot away, and Borch makes a pretty good save. And nothing really comes from passing it back really. Eventually, Icefeld gets a shot away, and Borch just grabs it in midair, but literally at half time, I think, other than that, there wasn't really that much going on in the match. I mean, 1-0 half time result. We 3 shots to on target. There's been 5 shots overall in the game, 4 of which have been on target. Only 3 of them which have actually shown. But in the 70th minute here, Shaw eventually gets the ball here to Oxlade-Chamberlain from the edge of the box, right into the bottom corner of Borch's goal for a 2-0 lead against Southampton, and Shaw assisting against his former club. Also, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain actually scoring against his former club, and it's a pretty good finish actually, be right into the bottom corner. But I hope Southampton can at least not get relegated, because I actually like Southampton. But again, Marco Reus is at it by popping it into the back of the net from about 30 yards out. He's just an absolute beast on that right midfield. I'm starting to get used to playing with him on the right hand side, considering that last season all I did was playing right down the middle. But in the last minutes of the match, Shaw plays a great free ball through to Jordi Alba, who I'm sure I'd brought on, and look at that for a finish for his first goal for the club from the left midfielder / left back, because he can play both positions just as equally as good. So his first goal, it was a pretty good finish as well, and that was it. Final score 4-0 against Southampton FC. And I mean, look at that, they had no shots in the second half. I had 15 shots in the second half, which is a bit ridiculous. And man of the match was Sergio Ramos for some ridiculous reason. I'm not really sure why. But the results: Man United beat Tottenham, pretty big. Cardiff beat Wigan, which is a pretty big one as well. Wolves beat West Ham, that's that's amazing. West Brom actually beat Everton. Chelsea beat Liverpool, and Man City actually beat Stoke. Pretty big results. Newcastle, Sunderland, boring Midlands derby. Tierside derby? Is it I think it's Tierside derby. It doesn't really matter, because Arsenal's still top of the table by 3 points, and that's the only thing that really matters. Between me, Man City, Man United and Chelsea, that's probably who's going to be battling for the title. Of Everton 8 points behind me at the current moment. That's quite a big gap, even though it's only like mid-season. It's still a pretty big gap. But into the game against Panathinaikos in Athens. This was another pretty difficult. Now the final result looks like I absolutely destroyed them, but it really wasn't. But as you can see, I'm playing like the likes of De Hertfeld. Wilshire's back in the team. He's not being captain today, considering the fact that he did get a red card against Tottenham, not really showing his leadership skills, but that was all down to me just being an absolute fool. But Pablo Hernandez actually gets a start in the Champions League for me. He's not really played that often, to be fair. And I don't even know any of these Panathinaikos players. That's why I don't even show their team after, other than Tal Ben Aim there, who's just on the screen. I don't really know any of the other ones. So yeah, actually, I just omitted their their squad sheet from the start of the match, as you will see in a couple of seconds. As you see, I just go straight into my team. My team pretty strong. De Hertfeld, Vermaelen, Jenkinson, Gibbs, Wilshere. Got to give the teams. I got to give a little bit of rest to everyone. So De Hertfeld and the likes of Jenkinson actually come in. By the likes, I'm not even playing Montoya. Hardly play him, to be perfectly fair. And Montoya is a pretty good backup, to be fair. But I mean, I like Jenkinson more. But in the 42nd minute of the match game, I had showed out that, like, in reality, I hit the bar about 40 times in this match. It's not even a joke. But De Hertfeld actually ends up scoring a pretty good long range shot for his centre back. So he scores, I think, like his first goal of the season, which is pretty impressive. I mean, look at that for a shot, right into the top corner. And like, I'll show you this. You'll see the stats, and you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of how many shots I actually had. I had 12 shots, 6 on target in the first half. 6 of them, probably 5 of them hit the bar, which is saying something. So in the 54th minute, Vermaelen ends up scoring a rebound after Giroud's knuckle shot free kick. It was a pretty good free kick, and Vermaelen scored, I think it's his 3rd goal for me, which is pretty poor really, but he is a centre back. He's done a pretty good job. But in the 57th minute, Giroud through on goal, and like I've said several times before, give him the chance and he will most likely score. Absolutely amazing finish into the top corner of the post, and easy game. 58 minutes on the clock, 3-0 up. But the stats make the highlights make the game make it look like I just absolutely destroyed them. But in reality, they actually hit the bar in the post quite a few times. But in the 64th minute here, Ozil taking a corner kick, hits in a big De Hertfeld, comes up from the back and scores again. He scored 2 goals for me today. What the hell's going on? Will he get his hat-trick? Well, we'll see. So 64 minutes on the clock, 4-0 up, and that's really, like, poning. But in the 68th minute, Leto plays the ball eventually through to Zeka. I don't know who Zeka actually is, but Zeka actually ends up popping it past Chesney into the bottom corner. And I only show you this bit because I didn't actually remember what his name was. His name is Zeka. But in the 77th minute, there's Higuain, maybe the only shot I actually show hitting the post, like, from other than a goal. And in the 84th minute here, Ramsey on the ball passes it to De Hertfeld. De Hertfeld turns and shoots once he gets the ball, and he actually scores his hat-trick. For a centre defender to score a hat-trick is pretty magical. And the number 18 scores his hat-trick. First hat-trick for the club, of course. Not many centre defenders scored hat-tricks. But David Villa eventually came on, like, roughly with like 2 minutes remaining. He rounds the keeper and he pops it into the back of the net. Seasoned professional. He is an absolute beast. He's a veteran. And he's a veteran of the squad, and I just love him so much, because even though it's his first season, he's still an absolute legend, in my opinion. So David Villa scores 6-1 final score for Arsenal, and you'll see the stats, what I'm talking about. They had 8 shots, 4 on target, 26-15 for me, 78 pass completion percentage, and who's man of the match? Oh, it's bloody Mesut Ozil. Alright then, fair enough. Wilshere had a poor match with a 5.5 rating, but Parma FC actually beat PSG. So with me having a 6-point lead over Parma and PSG, it sort of makes me, I'm more or less through completely, unless I completely mess everything up against Parma or PSG, because those are the only games I have remaining. I'm basically through the Champions League, but Parma and PSG fighting it out for that second spot. I'm sure PSG will probably get it, but you never know, considering that Parma, if I beat PSG as well as beating Parma, and if PSG could somehow, like, if they got a draw with Panathinaikos, and Panathinaikos actually could get, if Panathinaikos get beat by Parma or something like that, something can happen, and that basically PSG could actually go out, which would be quite big actually. But into the final game of the episode against Cardiff City, and the thing with Cardiff City, I can't have the badge for the clubs from the Empire Championship because there's not enough slots available, which is absolutely ridiculous. The likes of Don Cowie and Peter Whittingham are actually starting for Cardiff, and it's a really good representation of Cardiff. But in the second minute of the match, Wilshere gets the ball. He's back for his first game in the Premier League after his 3-match suspension against Tottenham. Olivier Giroud powers it into the bottom corner. Sorry, he does his little running man dance, and really that was like, the match wasn't particularly the most exciting match. To be fair, like, Cardiff defended resolutely, and that was really only about it. I mean, in here, this is like a great little pass and move, eventually getting it through to Thomas Vermaelen of all people, who ends up saving a shot, getting a shot away, and Wilshere gets another shot away. The keeper was pretty good for Cardiff, but in the 34th minute here, a little bit of passing movement, Ozil eventually backheels it through to Higuain, who pops it into the back of the net, and he scores when he wants. He also goes Super Saiyan when he wants, but I'm not going to do any of that stuff anymore. I mean, look at that, he's powering up, but no Super Saiyan today. Super Saiyan Higuain is just too beast. He doesn't even deserve the Super Saiyan, he's just the number 1 Saiyan man. So, as you can see, I've had 12 shots, 8 on target, one shot for Cardiff, 0 on target for them. But in the 56th minute here, Higuain does a really poor pass, and I think it's Gestede ends up getting the ball. He actually runs through on goal, and he just hits it just wide of the post, so very unfortunate for him. And in the 73rd minute here, Vermaelen from a short corner passes it to Ramsey to Gibbs. Gibbs takes a really heavy touch, and look at that for a strike. Keeper nowhere near it, and it hits the post, which is pretty unfortunate for Kieran Gibbs, having not scored a goal for my club yet. But yeah, that was really about it. 2-0 final score against Cardiff. We should have been better than that, but as you see, he had 18 shots, 8 on target, 3 shots from Cardiff, 0 on target, and man of the match is Aaron Ramsey, which is that weird? I think it's quite weird. But as you can see, Wigan also got beat by West Brom, Wolves beat Everton, which is pretty big, Norwich got beat by West Ham United, and Aston Villa got beat 3-0 by Southampton. But as you see, Sunderland also got beat by Bolton, Stoke got beat by QPR, Liverpool got beat by Newcastle, Chelsea actually got beat by Manchester United, and Tottenham got beat by Manchester City. So here's a table at the current moment. Still 3 points clear of Man United, 6 points clear of Chelsea, 11 points clear of Everton, 12 points clear of QPR. But as you can see, big Stoke right at the bottom of the table. Screw you, Pulis, you prick. But straight after that match, big Thomas Rosicky will be leaving me for roughly 12 or 13 million. He's been an absolutely great player, but it's time for him to go. He's not really playing that often, and I may or may not have to sign a replacement. Probably not in the January transfer window, but that's really about it. And here is just the top goal scorers from the Champions League and the Markcoos Premier League. Ronaldo's top goal scorer for Champions League, as he now plays for Barcelona, which is insane. And 4 Arsenal players have actually scored 2 goals in the Champions League, which is pretty insane. And as you see, there's Higuain. He scored 11 goals in the Premier League so far, and Giroud has scored 8. So I'm just going to leave it here. I'm just looking at the squad list, looking at the development sheets. So if you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel for more, and catch you later.